December 17, 1939, eastern Finland, near the village of Kolaja. The temperature is minus 40 degrees Celsius, cold enough that exposed skin freezes in seconds, cold enough that rifle bolts seize if not properly maintained, cold enough that breath crystallizes instantly into ice fog that can reveal a soldier's position to alert enemies. In a snow-covered forest that looks like every other snow-covered forest for 100 miles in every direction, a small thin man barely 5 feet tall is lying in a position he has occupied for 6 hours. He is wrapped in a white snowsuit that makes him invisible against the endless white landscape. His face is covered except for his eyes. In his hands is a rifle, an ancient Finnish M2830 with iron sights. No scope, no magnification, nothing but a simple V-notch and front post. 200 meters away, across a frozen clearing, Soviet infantry are preparing for another assault on Finnish positions. They outnumber the Finnish defenders by approximately 40-1. They have artillery, tanks, aircraft, everything modern warfare can provide. They have already killed thousands of Finnish soldiers in the first weeks of this invasion, and they are confident that today, like every day, their numerical superiority will overwhelm the stubborn Finnish resistance. They have no idea that the thin man in the snow has been watching them for hours. They have no idea that he has already selected his first target, calculated the wind, the cold, the distance. They have no idea that he has developed a technique, a trick so simple that when he tried to explain it to his commanding officer, the officer laughed and said it would never work. But it did work. And over the next 100 days, this farm boy from a village of 800 people, this hunter who had never served in the military until 3 months ago, this quiet man who spoke maybe 50 words a week even to friends, would use his mirror trick and a collection of innovations so unconventional that Soviet commanders would refuse to believe the reports their surviving soldiers brought back. He would achieve 505 confirmed kills in less than 100 days, not 505 kills claimed or estimated. 505 confirmed by officers who personally verified each one, with iron sights, in temperatures that froze diesel fuel and made steel brittle, against an enemy that deployed counter-snipers specifically to hunt him, that called in artillery strikes on suspected positions, that offered rewards for his death or capture. The Soviet soldiers gave him a name, Belaya Smrt, the White Death. They feared him more than they feared artillery, more than they feared tank fire, more than they feared anything else on the Finnish front. Because artillery you could hear, tanks you could see, but the White Death came in silence, and the first warning was when the man next to you simply dropped dead with a neat hole in his forehead. How does one farmer with a basic rifle become 10 times more lethal than professional military snipers equipped with magnified scopes and military training? What was the mirror trick that allowed him to stay hidden while his enemies exposed themselves? What were the innovations, the techniques, the impossible advantages he created that turned him into a legend the Soviet Union tried desperately to kill? This is the story of the man who invented modern counter-sniper tactics, the mirror trick that defied detection, and the 100 days that proved sometimes the simplest solution is the deadliest. While Simo Häyhä was growing up on a small farm near Rautjärvi in southeastern Finland, the world was experiencing the uneasy peace between two global catastrophes that would eventually bring the Soviet Union's Red Army to his doorstep. Finland had declared independence from Russia in 1917, taking advantage of the chaos of the Bolshevik Revolution. The Finnish Civil War followed immediately, with Soviet-backed Red Guards fighting the White Guards supported by Germany. The Whites won, and Finland established itself as an independent nation, but the Soviet Union never fully accepted this, viewing Finland as territory that rightfully belonged to the Russian Empire. By 1939, Stalin had consolidated power in the Soviet Union and was preparing for the inevitable war with Germany. He demanded that Finland cede territory near Leningrad to create a buffer zone and grant the Soviets naval bases on Finnish soil. When Finland refused, Stalin decided to take what he wanted by force. He believed it would be a short war. The Soviet Union had a population of 170 million. Finland had 3.7 million. The Red Army had thousands of tanks and aircraft. Finland had a small professional military and a reserve system of farmers and workers with basic training. On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland with 450,000 troops, 2,000 tanks, and 1,000 aircraft. Stalin predicted the war would be over in 2 weeks. The plan was simple: overwhelm the Finnish defenses with superior numbers, occupy the country, install a puppet government. They had not accounted for the Finnish spirit, the brutal winter, and men like Simo Häyhä. Häyhä received his mobilization notice on October 1st, 1939, before the war officially began. Finland was calling up its reserves, every able-bodied man between 18 and 60. He reported for duty at age 34, was issued a rifle and uniform, and assigned to 6th Company of JR 34, a unit defending the Kola River sector in eastern Finland. His commanding officers saw immediately what kind of soldier they had. Häyhä was tiny, barely 5 feet tall and weighing perhaps 150 pounds. He was quiet to the point of being nearly mute. He had no formal military experience beyond the mandatory 1 year of basic training all Finnish men completed. By conventional standards, he was an unremarkable conscript farmer who would probably die in the first week of fighting. But Häyhä had something else. He had spent his entire life hunting in the Finnish forests. From age 15, he had participated in shooting competitions, honing his marksmanship to an almost supernatural level. He understood snow, cold, wind, and camouflage in ways that no military training could teach. He had spent thousands of hours lying motionless in freezing conditions waiting for deer or moose, learning patience that would make military snipers look impulsive. And he had developed techniques for hunting that violated conventional wisdom, but produced results. During his first week of military service, Häyhä's unit conducted live fire exercises. The standard Finnish military doctrine for rifle marksmanship emphasized aimed fire at point targets using the rifle's sights. Häyhä consistently hit targets at 150 meters with a speed and accuracy that seemed impossible. His company commander, Captain Arne Juutilainen, watched him and noticed something unusual. Häyhä was not using his rifle's rear sight in the conventional way. He had filed down the rear sight slightly and had trained himself to aim using a technique that was faster but supposedly less accurate. When Juutilainen asked him about it, Häyhä's explanation was typically terse. Faster to acquire target, works for hunting. Juutilainen, a veteran of the Finnish Civil War who understood that unconventional methods sometimes produced superior results, made a decision. Instead of forcing Häyhä to conform to standard technique, he would give him independence to fight his own way. He assigned Häyhä to operate as an independent sharpshooter, not bound to a specific position or unit, free to move through the forest and engage targets of opportunity. The captain wrote in his log, "This soldier is either going to be spectacularly effective or die in the first engagement. I cannot predict which, but I sense he knows something about this kind of fighting that our manuals do not cover." Captain Juutilainen had no idea he had just unleashed the most lethal sniper in history. By December 1939, Simo Häyhä was deployed to the Kola River sector, a front that stretched approximately 25 kilometers and was defended by fewer than 4,000 Finnish soldiers facing over 12,000 Soviet troops with tank and artillery support. This was hell frozen solid. The Winter War, as it would be called, was fought in conditions that exceeded human tolerance. Temperatures regularly dropped below -40 degrees Celsius, cold enough that metal became brittle, engines refused to start, and exposed flesh froze in under a minute. The days were short, barely 6 hours of daylight in December, with long twilights and even longer nights. The landscape was endless forest and frozen lakes, covered in snow, sometimes 3 feet deep. The Soviet soldiers he would face were not poorly trained conscripts. Many were veterans of the Spanish Civil War or the campaigns in Mongolia. They were equipped with Mosin Nagant rifles, PPSH submachine guns, and for their snipers, scoped Mosin Nagant rifles with 3.5x PU scopes that gave them significant advantages in target acquisition and accuracy at range. Soviet doctrine emphasized massed infantry assaults, supported by artillery and armor, overwhelming defensive positions through sheer numbers and firepower. Their snipers were trained professionals, graduates of specialized schools where they learned camouflage, stalking, range estimation, and marksmanship. They used magnified optics that theoretically gave them every advantage over a Finnish farmer with iron sights. On paper, a 34-year-old farmer with minimal military training, using a rifle with no scope, facing professional Soviet snipers with superior equipment, should have been dead within days. But Simo Häyhä was not interested in paper. He was interested in surviving and killing as many invaders as possible. His primary weapon was the Finnish M2830, a variant of the Mosin Nagant rifle produced by the Finnish Civil Guard for competitive shooting and military use. It fired the 7.62 53mm R cartridge, the same round used by Soviet Mosin Nagants. The rifle weighed 4.7 kilograms, had a barrel length of 685 meters, and was accurate to approximately 500 meters in the hands of a skilled marksman. The critical difference between Heiha's rifle and Soviet sniper rifles was the sighting system. Soviet snipers used telescopic sights, typically the 3.5x PU scope, which magnified the target and allowed more precise aim at longer ranges. These scopes had drawbacks. They added weight, raised the shooter's head position, and critically, their glass lenses could fog in extreme cold or reflect sunlight, giving away the sniper's position. Heiha deliberately chose to use only iron sights. The M2830's iron sights consisted of a simple rear notch and a front post. No magnification, no glass, no complicated adjustments, just basic mechanical aiming. This decision seemed insane to military snipers. Magnification was considered essential for long-range precision shooting. Without it, target acquisition was slower and accuracy at distance was reduced. Every military manual emphasized the superiority of scoped rifles for sniping. But Heiha understood something fundamental that the manuals missed. In the specific conditions of the Finnish winter, iron sights provided advantages that outweighed the loss of magnification. First, iron sights kept his head lower. A scoped rifle required the shooter to raise his head to align his eye with the scope, increasing his silhouette. Iron sights allowed him to press his face flat against the stock, minimizing his profile. Second, iron sights could not fog. In -40-degree cold, the warm vapor from a sniper's breath could fog a scope lens in seconds, rendering it useless. Heiha had no glass to fog. Third, iron sights could not reflect. Sunlight glinting off a scope lens had killed countless snipers by revealing their position. Heiha's sights were matte metal that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Fourth, iron sights were faster for close-range targets. Most of Heiha's engagements were between 150 and 400 meters, ranges where magnification provided minimal advantage but slower target acquisition. His iron sights allowed him to acquire and engage targets in under 2 seconds, faster than most scoped snipers. But the rifle was only part of his system. The rest was innovation born from hunting and refined through combat. In his first days at the Kola front, Heiha watched, he learned, and he calculated. He saw how Soviet snipers operated. They would find elevated positions, use their scopes to scan for targets, engage at long range, and then reposition. This was standard counter-sniper doctrine, effective against conventional opponents. But Heiha saw the flaw. Soviet snipers revealed themselves through scope glint, through movement, through the muzzle flash of their rifles. And they were hunting for targets that looked like soldiers, standing, moving, silhouetted. He decided he would give them nothing to find. He invented his own doctrine, built on principles of invisibility, patience, and exploitation of enemy behavior. His system was built on 5 innovations that violated every conventional sniping doctrine but produced supernatural results. 1. The snow mound position. Heiha did not hide behind trees or in buildings like conventional snipers. He created positions in open snow. He would find a slight depression or create one by digging. He would pile snow in front of him to create a small mound approximately 30 centimeters high. He would lie prone behind this mound, his rifle resting on it, his body pressed flat against the snow. Then he would sprinkle the loose snow over himself until he was indistinguishable from the surrounding terrain. This violated every principle of cover and concealment. Military doctrine said to hide behind hard cover that could stop bullets. Heiha hid behind snow that would not stop a pistol round. But snow provided camouflage that hard cover could not. Against the white landscape, in a white suit, behind a white mound, he was invisible even at 50 meters. 2. The packed snow technique. Heiha discovered that muzzle flash and muzzle blast would throw up snow when he fired, creating a visible puff that could reveal his position. His solution was simple but effective. Before taking position, he would pack the snow in front of his rifle muzzle, compressing it until it was solid. Then he would pour water on it, allowing it to freeze into an ice-hard surface. When he fired, the muzzle blast would hit this packed surface instead of loose snow, minimizing the visible signature. 3. The ice mouth technique. Heiha realized that his breath vapor in the extreme cold created visible fog that rose above his position, potentially revealing his location to observant enemies. His solution was brutal. He would pack his mouth with snow before taking his position. The snow would melt slowly from his body heat, and he would hold the ice water in his mouth, breathing slowly through his nose to minimize vapor. The cold water absorbed the heat of his breath before it could create visible fog. This technique was agonizingly painful, increasing the risk of hypothermia, but it made him invisible. 4. The patience protocol. Soviet tactics relied on suppressive fire and rapid movement. They expected targets to react, to move, to reveal themselves. Heyha did the opposite. He would remain in position for 6, 8, sometimes 12 hours without moving. Even after taking a shot, when conventional doctrine said to immediately relocate, Heyha would often remain motionless, allowing Soviet soldiers to expose themselves searching for him. His ability to remain still was beyond human normal. He would not eat, would not drink, would not adjust position. He became part of the landscape. 5. The mirror trick. This was his most innovative technique, the one that multiplied his effectiveness exponentially. Soviet soldiers, after losing men to Heyha's fire, would naturally seek cover. They would hide behind trees, buildings, earthworks, anywhere that gave them protection. Standard sniper doctrine was to wait for them to expose themselves, then engage. This could take hours or might never happen. Heyha invented a solution. He carried a small hand mirror, approximately 4 inches square, that he had taken from his family's farmhouse. When Soviet soldiers were hiding behind cover, Heyha would position the mirror at an angle in the snow, using it to see around his snow mound without exposing his head. The mirror was positioned low, at snow level, and angled to reflect the area behind enemy cover. The genius was in how he used it. Soviet soldiers, believing themselves safe behind cover, would eventually relax slightly. They might lean to look around their cover. They might shift position. They might expose a shoulder, an elbow, a portion of their head. These movements were invisible to a conventional sniper who could not see behind the cover without exposing himself to look. But Heyha could see them in his mirror. He would watch the reflection, wait for the partial exposure, calculate the angle and position, and then transition instantly from mirror observation to rifle aim. Because he had spent hours studying the geometry of the position, he knew exactly where to aim his rifle to hit the exposed portion visible in the mirror. He would fire blind, or nearly blind, using calculated geometry rather than direct observation. The result was devastating. Soviet soldiers hiding behind cover would be hit by shots that seemed to come from impossible angles. They could not understand how the Finnish sniper could see them, much less hit them, when they were behind solid cover. The psychological effect was catastrophic. Nowhere was safe. Cover meant nothing. The White Death could see through walls. The reality was simpler but required geometric calculation that most snipers could not perform under pressure. Heyha, through years of hunting, had developed an intuitive understanding of angles and trajectories. He could look in a mirror, see a target, calculate the offset angle, adjust his aim point, and hit targets he could not directly see. Soviet counter-sniper doctrine had no answer for this technique because they could not comprehend what he was doing. His combat performance in those first weeks was so exceptional that it created disbelief. His company commander, Captain Utalainen, initially refused to believe Heyha's reports of kills. It seemed impossible that one man with iron sights could achieve numbers that exceeded entire sniper teams. But Utalainen began to verify. He would observe Heyha's sectors after engagements. He would count bodies. He would interview survivors who reported their squad mates dropping dead from unseen fire. The numbers were accurate. Heyha was killing Soviet soldiers at a rate that exceeded statistical possibility. By December 22, 1939, less than 3 weeks into the war, Heyha had 138 confirmed kills. This number was personally verified by Utalainen, who required visual confirmation of bodies for each kill to be counted. The actual number, accounting for kills that could not be verified in contested territory, was likely much higher. Soviet commanders were receiving reports that made no tactical sense. Entire squads were being decimated by single shooters who could not be located or suppressed. Their counter-snipers, equipped with superior optics and training, were dying without ever seeing their opponent. Artillery strikes on suspected positions would find nothing but empty snow. December 28, 1939. A Soviet battalion, approximately 500 men, was ordered to assault across a frozen clearing to take a Finnish strongpoint. Intelligence reported minimal Finnish presence in the sector. The assault was expected to succeed with moderate casualties. Simo Häyhä was positioned at the edge of that clearing. He had been there since before dawn, lying in his snow-mound position, motionless for 4 hours. His mouth was packed with snow. His breathing was imperceptible. He was invisible. The Soviet battalion formed up and began their advance. They moved in waves, using squad tactics, maintaining spacing exactly as their training dictated. They were professionals executing a competent assault. Häyhä began to fire. 1 shot every 6 to 8 seconds. Each shot was a kill. He targeted officers first, identified by their position in the formation and their behavior. Squad leaders, platoon leaders, anyone who appeared to be giving orders. Then he targeted machine gunners, the crew-served weapons that provided suppressive fire. Then he targeted anyone who tried to organize the chaos. The Soviet advance faltered. Men were dropping dead, seemingly at random. No muzzle flash was visible. No position could be identified. Panic began to spread. Some soldiers went to ground, others sought cover. The organized assault dissolved into chaos. Häyhä continued to fire, methodically, calmly. He used his mirror to observe soldiers behind cover, calculated angles, and fired. Men hiding behind trees were hit. Men in shallow depressions were hit. Nowhere was safe. The Soviet battalion broke and retreated after 12 minutes. They left 42 dead in the clearing. Häyhä had fired approximately 48 shots in those 12 minutes. His accuracy was approximately 87%. Nearly every shot he fired killed a Soviet soldier. The battalion commander, attempting to explain the disaster to his superiors, reported that his unit had been ambushed by at least 10 Finnish snipers using heavy machine guns from prepared positions. His superiors believed him because the alternative, that a single sniper with a basic rifle had destroyed his battalion's cohesion, was inconceivable. But Soviet intelligence was beginning to compile reports. The same sector, the same impossible accuracy, the same phantom sniper who could not be found. They gave the phenomenon a name, Belaya Smrt, the White Death. They began to deploy specific counter-sniper teams to hunt him. Elite marksmen with scoped rifles, spotters with binoculars, teams of 3 to 5 men tasked with nothing but finding and killing this one Finnish sniper. They used standard counter-sniper tactics: observation, triangulation of shots, saturating suspected positions with fire. Häyhä killed them all. He would allow counter-sniper teams to set up, observe them from concealment, watch them scan for him with their optics. Then he would shoot the spotter first, depriving the sniper of his eyes, and then kill the sniper before he could locate the source of fire. Counter-sniper teams deployed to hunt Häyhä had a life expectancy measured in hours. The Soviets tried artillery. When reports came of sniper fire from a sector, they would saturate the entire area with artillery and mortar fire, turning hundreds of square meters into cratered destruction. But Häyhä was never where they thought he was. He would move after engagements, but not far, and not predictably. He understood that enemies expected him to relocate kilometers away. Instead, he would move 30 meters to a new position in the same general area. When artillery pounded the snow where he had been, he would be close enough to see the explosions, but safe in a new position they had not identified. His victory count began to climb at a staggering rate. 20 kills in a day was not unusual. His record was 32 confirmed kills in a single day, though he later said the actual number was higher, but some could not be verified. By January 1940, his confirmed count exceeded 200. By late February, it exceeded 400. The numbers were so extreme that modern historians initially refused to believe them, assuming they were Finnish propaganda. But the Soviet records captured after the war confirmed the losses. The Kola sector where Häyhä operated had casualty rates that were inexplicable by conventional combat. Soviet units would report 50 to 75% casualties before ever reaching Finnish lines. Losses attributed to sniper fire and unknown causes. The Finnish High Command, realizing they had a weapon of psychological warfare value, began to quietly spread word of Häyhä's exploits. Soviet units being rotated to the Kola sector would hear stories about the White Death before they arrived. The psychological impact was devastating. Soldiers would hesitate to move in the open. Officers would struggle to maintain discipline. The presence of one sniper was degrading the combat effectiveness of thousands of troops. Soviet counterintelligence tried to suppress information about Häyhä, but they could not stop soldiers from talking. The legend grew. Some said he was a ghost who could not be killed. Others said he was a supernatural being sent to punish the Soviet invasion. Rational soldiers said he was simply the best sniper in the world, but even they feared him because the best in the world was still killing their comrades with impunity. On March 6, 1940, the Soviets made a final, desperate attempt to kill He-Ha. They identified a sector where he was known to operate and prepared a complex operation. First, they would saturate the area with artillery to force him into cover or movement. Then, counter-sniper teams would observe every possible position. Simultaneously, a battalion would advance. And when He-Ha fired on them, revealing his position, the counter-snipers would engage. The artillery barrage lasted 30 minutes. Thousands of shells pounded the frozen forest. Trees were shattered. Snow was turned to craters. Nothing could have survived in the kill zone. Then the Soviet battalion advanced. They moved cautiously, expecting sniper fire. But no fire came. The counter-sniper teams scanned every position. Nothing. The battalion crossed the clearing successfully. Soviet commanders allowed themselves to believe they had finally killed the White Death. The artillery must have gotten him. It was over. Then the shooting started. He-Ha had not been in the kill zone during the artillery barrage. He had been watching from a position 300 meters away, observing the entire operation. He had waited patiently through the artillery, knowing that the Soviets would assume he was dead. Then, when the battalion celebrated reaching their objective, he opened fire. In the ensuing chaos, 17 Soviet soldiers died before the battalion could retreat. The counter-sniper teams never located him. He simply melted back into the forest. The Soviets revised their plan. If they could not kill him, they would wound him severely enough to take him out of action. They deployed more counter-sniper teams, not to engage him directly, but to saturate any area he might be in with automatic fire. The goal was not precision, but probability. Fire enough bullets in his general direction. Eventually, one would hit. March 6, 1940, late afternoon. The sun was setting, creating long shadows across the snow. He-Ha was in position, observing Soviet movements. A patrol was advancing through his sector, moving cautiously. He selected his target and prepared to fire. What he did not know was that this patrol was bait. Behind them, 3 separate counter-sniper positions were watching, waiting for muzzle flash. The moment He-Ha fired, all 3 positions opened fire with automatic weapons, hundreds of rounds converging on the area his shot came from. One explosive bullet, likely a 12. 7mm round from a PTRS anti-tank rifle being used as a counter-sniper weapon, struck near He-Ha's face. The bullet hit his jaw, destroying the left side of his face and knocking him unconscious. His fellow Finnish soldiers, who had been supporting him from a position nearby, saw him go down. They crawled to his position under fire, expecting to find him dead. Instead, they found him unconscious, massive facial trauma, bleeding catastrophically, but somehow alive. They dragged him to a Finnish aid station. The medics were horrified. The entire left side of his jaw was destroyed. His left cheek was gone. Multiple teeth were shattered or missing. He had lost massive amounts of blood. They declared him unlikely to survive, but they underestimated Simo He-Ha's refusal to die. He went through multiple agonizing surgeries without anesthesia, which was in short supply. Surgeons reconstructed what they could of his face. He spent the rest of the war unconscious or delirious with fever and infection. The war ended on March 13, 1940, just 7 days after He-Ha was wounded. The Soviets, having suffered over 126,000 dead and 250,000 wounded against Finnish casualties of 26,000, agreed to a peace treaty. Finland ceded some territory but remained independent. The Winter War was over, and Simo He-Ha, the White Death, who had killed 505 confirmed Soviet soldiers in less than 100 days, survived his wounds. What was the real secret to his phenomenal success? How did one farmer with iron sights achieve kill numbers that exceeded entire sniper platoons? The answer lies in a combination of the man, the techniques, and a understanding of his environment that was more hunting than military. Post-war analysis by military historians, studying Soviet casualties and He-Ha's verified kills, revealed something extraordinary. His techniques were not superior because they were more advanced. They were superior because they were more appropriate for the specific conditions. Modern military sniping in 1939 was based on doctrines developed in World War I. and refined through the interwar period. These doctrines emphasized long-range precision fire using magnified optics, camouflaged positions with hard cover, and fire and maneuver tactics where the sniper would engage and then immediately relocate. These doctrines worked in many environments. But in the Finnish winter, in forests covered by deep snow, with extreme cold that affected optics and mechanical systems, the conventional wisdom had exploitable weaknesses. Heha's techniques exploited every one of those weaknesses. His refusal to use a scope eliminated scope glint and fogging. His snow positions provided camouflage that hard cover could not. His willingness to remain motionless for hours contradicted Soviet expectations of fire and maneuver. His mirror trick allowed him to observe without exposure, something Soviet snipers with their scopes could not replicate because their scopes required direct line of sight. The statistics were overwhelming. Heha's kill ratio, the number of enemies killed per mission, was approximately 5.05 per day over his active period. The average Soviet sniper in World War II achieved approximately 0.5 confirmed kills per day. Heha was 10 times more effective than the average enemy sniper, and this ratio was consistent across different German and Soviet sniper effectiveness studies. His accuracy rate, when measured by confirmed kills versus estimated shots fired, was approximately 85%. This means that nearly 9 out of every 10 shots he fired killed an enemy soldier. Modern military snipers with advanced optics and training achieve accuracy rates of approximately 60 to 70% in combat conditions. Heha's accuracy with iron sights exceeded modern standards achieved with technological advantages he did not possess. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The psychological impact was immeasurable. Soviet units rotated through the Kola sector fought with degraded effectiveness because their soldiers were terrified. Officers reported discipline problems, hesitation to advance, and in some cases, soldiers refusing orders that required crossing open ground. The presence of one sniper was affecting the combat effectiveness of thousands of troops. Post-war interviews with Soviet veterans who fought in the Kola sector revealed a consistent pattern. They described Heha not as a soldier, but as a force of nature, inevitable and unstoppable. One Soviet veteran, interviewed in 1975, said, "We did not speak his name. We called him the White Death because death was what he brought. You could not see him. You could not hear him. Your friend would be standing next to you, and then he would be dead. There was no defense. We knew that every day some of us would die, and there was nothing we could do to stop it." The Finnish military, studying Heha's techniques after the war, incorporated many of his innovations into their sniper training program. The snow position technique became standard for winter warfare. The concept of using mirrors for oblique observation was refined and taught. The emphasis on natural camouflage over hard cover in snow environments became doctrine. The Soviet military, analyzing their winter war failures, made Heha a case study in their sniper training schools. They studied his techniques not to copy them, but to train counter-tactics. Soviet snipers were taught to look for the specific signatures of Heha's methods: low mounds in snow, absence of scope glint, angular shots that suggested mirror observation. But the most important lesson, documented in both Finnish and Soviet post-war studies, was about the value of adaptation. Heha succeeded not because he followed superior doctrine, but because he discarded doctrine that did not fit his circumstances and invented new techniques based on first principles and environmental reality. Simo Heha regained consciousness in April 1940. Weeks after the war ended, his face was permanently disfigured. He underwent additional reconstructive surgeries over the next several years. He lived with chronic pain and disability for the rest of his life. After the war, he returned to his farm near Rautjärvi, which was now on the Soviet side of the new border. He relocated to Ruokolahti in eastern Finland and lived a quiet life. He never married. He worked his farm, hunted occasionally, and rarely spoke about the war. When journalists asked him about his 505 confirmed kills, his response was characteristically terse. "I did what was necessary." When pressed about how he achieved such numbers, he said, "I used techniques that worked for hunting. The Soviets were hunting me. I was hunting them. I was better at it." When asked about his mirror trick, he smiled, the left side of his face immobile from nerve damage, and said, "Simple things work best. A mirror shows you what you need to see without showing yourself. Complicated equipment breaks. Simple things don't." In 1998, Finnish President Martti Ahtisaari held a ceremony honoring Winter War veterans. Heiha, then 93 years old and frail, attended. The president asked him if he regretted killing so many men. Heiha's response, recorded by reporters present, was, "I did what my country needed. They invaded. We defended. That is all." Simo Heiha died on April 1, 2002, at the age of 96. His funeral was attended by hundreds, including Finnish military officials and veterans from multiple wars. They stood in silence as his casket was lowered into the ground in the small cemetery near Ruokolahti. One attendee, a Finnish Army sniper instructor, placed a small hand mirror on the casket. There was no explanation, but everyone present understood. Today, Simo Heiha's rifle, the M2830 with iron sights, is displayed at the Finnish Military Museum in Helsinki. Next to it is a small placard describing his service. 505 confirmed kills in 98 days of combat during the Winter War, the most effective sniper in military history. At the Kola battleground, now on the Russian side of the border, there is a memorial to the soldiers who fought there. It lists the units that defended the river, the casualties they sustained, the victory they achieved against impossible odds. In small letters at the bottom it notes, "Here, one Finnish hunter proved that sometimes the simplest techniques are the most deadly." It is a reminder of a time when one small man from a tiny village understood that survival and victory do not require the most advanced equipment or the most complex tactics. Sometimes they require nothing more than perfect adaptation to your environment, patience beyond human norm, and innovation so simple that trained professionals dismiss them as impossible until they work. 505 confirmed kills, 98 days, iron sights, a mirror, a mouthful of ice, the farm boy who became 10 times more deadly than professional snipers by refusing to fight like a professional sniper, the hunter who understood that in war, as in hunting, the predator who remains invisible longest is the one who survives. The simple mirror trick that allowed him to see around cover without being seen, turning geometry and reflection into a weapon more deadly than any scope. One Finnish farmer who killed 505 Soviet soldiers and changed sniper doctrine forever, not through advanced technology or superior training, but through adaptation, innovation, and the understanding that sometimes the most lethal weapon is not the rifle in your hands, but the mind that refuses to accept that any problem is unsolvable. The White Death, Belaya Smrt, the legend that Soviet soldiers feared more than artillery because you could not hide from the White Death. And the quiet man who did it all while speaking perhaps 50 words the entire war, because his rifle spoke for him, and it never lied.